Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Fire Up. My name is Scott Morgan off Motor City Madmouth. Please be joined by the man with a thumbs up, Ralph Williams. He's our regular contributor here on Thursday night. How's everything going, Ralph? I know we have a lot of things that we work on, and we're going to be working on the External Bum show tomorrow. I believe that will start at what time? 11
a.m. tomorrow. Blog
Beautiful.
Talk Radio.
Right.
347-205-9631 to listen in. And we have a big following, and it's getting more and more every week. So it's a great show. External Bum Podcast.
Right. You and I and Mark Mancini are the main people as well.
Yes.
So with that said, George Eichhorn, we're back for round 2 tonight.
Yes, Scott. Good to see you again, Ralph.
Thank you, George. Appreciate it. Likewise.
And thank you. And we're glad, Scott, you're on your feet. Welcome back to the studio.
Oh, yeah. Welcome back, Scott.
Thank you, George. All right. Let me just everybody know that Fire Up is being broadcast around the world. The audio version of Fire Up can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcast. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're striving for 1,000 subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? No problem. Send your topic ideas to southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you want to advertise, cost efficiently, call me at 954-304-4941. We broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Website, www.southfloridatribune.com, Twitter/X @Tribune South, Candy Ebling behind the scenes. I also want to make mention of the fact that I have a new book coming out in the next few weeks, which is a media book. It's called Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. So with that said, let's go out there and get to it. And we have a few topics to get everybody an overview there. Welcome back, Samuel K. Good to see you, my friend. Hopefully one of these days we can get you on one of these shows. Hope you're doing well, and I appreciate the kind words. All right, well, overview. Well, we're going to start with the first topic. Have a few of them tonight. Pittsburgh Steelers had a 30-6 loss at Houston, and now they get the Baltimore Ravens this week. So, Ralph, why don't you give me your overview of what you thought occurred against the upstart Houston Texans. There's a team coached by Ryans. CjStroud has been a great pick for him, and the Steelers unfortunately ran into a very fine football team.
Well, I think the Steelers, Scott and George, I think they laid an egg. This was a trap game. I told everybody when I had my Steelers special on my radio show that there was going to be one game that they were going to lose that they should have won, and this was one of them. Indy, and I said the Arizona Cardinals. Those were the 3 games I said that they probably were going to lose one or maybe 2 of them because Mike Tomlin has a bad habit every year of losing a game that he should win. This was a game they should have won. The defense actually didn't play too bad, but when you spend too much time on the field and your offense can't move the football like it's been going on now for a while, that becomes a problem. And I don't care how many veterans you have. I don't care how good your football team is. If your defense is on the field too much, it's going to get tired. And especially if they run the football and grind it down, that's what's going to happen. And the Texans just ran all over the Steelers. They had a better game plan. And, I don't usually say this too much, but DeMeloryans, I congratulate you for having a good game plan and beating the Steelers.
And CjStroud, you talk about
CjStroud's a better quarterback than I thought. We always win against rookie quarterbacks. We always take them down in sacks. Didn't do it this week. A couple of our former guys beat us, like Kendrick Green, until he got hurt. He was a bum up here. He didn't do anything with the Steelers, and now he's down there trying to reinvent himself, and then he ends up getting hurt, and I feel bad for the guy. So, but anyway. MattCanada has to go. He's the offensive coordinator. Some of my sources within the Steelers tell me that if we lose this game against the Ravens, the bye week comes up, he goes bye-byes. That's uncommon for the Steelers, but I heard that Art Rooney II, the owner's not real happy right now. And the ultimatum is that if we lose against the Ravens and we don't score a lot of points or whatever, he wants them gone by the bye week. So we're going to find out if that happens.
Okay, George, what's your take on this football game?
Well, I've been through that, Ralph, so many times with the Detroit Lions. You talk about trap games, and the loss to Seattle at home by Detroit was not expected by hardly anyone. And I know what you're going through, and I know what the Pittsburgh fans are going through, but you just got to rally. Tomlin's a good coach. He's a good coach, and I know that everybody might be up in arms right now, but Boy, that puts a lot of pressure, though, doesn't it, on the Baltimore game, like you said, Ralph?
Yes.
Baltimore comes in 3-1, and your Steelers are 2-2. But every week's a different situation, and the days of just having an easy game are over, folks. It's over. I mean, look at Chicago rolling tonight in Washington. I know they're both bad teams. Look at what happened to Detroit losing to Seattle. And like you said, Pittsburgh losing to the Texans. They're a team on the rise, the Texans. I mean, Stroud is playing some good ball. Trust me, we had plenty of him playing against the University of Michigan Wolverines. Trust me, over the years, I know what a good quarterback that kid is. And it's just one of these things, though. You got to bounce back. Now, you're talking about coach being fired and all this stuff. Well, on the field, they got to perform. This is it. Don't even worry about last week right now. Get it out of your mind. And as far as Pittsburgh's concerned, you can't roll over dead, though. You got to play the game. It's not going to be easy, but you can beat Baltimore. The Steelers can beat Baltimore.
Well, they always do. They have a good record, George, against Baltimore. That's number one. And number two, they always seem to beat Baltimore, and it's always a dogfight. I don't think we have come out with a win, guys, Scott and George, in any kind of a Baltimore game where it was 2 or 3 point or 1 point difference or at overtime, and we won by maybe a point or 3 points. It's always been a dogfight. These division games are dogfights because it's for the dominance of the division. And right now, Cincinnati don't look too good. Cleveland's about average. Baltimore's about the best right now. And the Steelers failed against the Texans. But you know what, George? They're putting it in the rearview mirror. Mike Tomlin said at this press conference this week. They're going back into the laboratory, as he always says, and we're going to try to fix this. So, we'll see what he does.
The only thing I'll say about this whole thing, number one, is I wonder how the people in Houston are feeling that Deshaun Watson is not their problem. He's with Cleveland, and you get CJ Stroud. If I were those people in Houston, I'd be doing cartwheels because I'll tell you that's
you're exactly
I would.
right.
I mean, think about it. You had all those issues with Deshaun Watson. You moved him to Cleveland. I'm not saying that Deshaun Watson won't have a halfway decent career in Cleveland. Then again, they're paying him a lot of money. But the future is now with CJ Stroud. Now, like everything that they're doing in Houston, I really do. And in terms of the Baltimore-Pittsburgh situation, we all know what divisional games will be divisional games. The rivalries. Right. George and I live it in our division when you had everything is a rivalry when it comes to Chicago, Green Bay, Detroit, Chicago,
Minnesota.
Detroit, Green Bay. Minnesota, yeah, but I would say the Detroit, Chicago, and Green Bay triangle takes a little bit more precedent because they've been around the league a lot longer. As they would.
Right.
And it would be remiss for me to not be on the show and say, obviously, we're saddened by the loss of Dickbutkes, who passed away at the age of 80.
Yeah, that's sad.
I heard the Chicago Bears were leading the Commanders 20-3. Not surprised that they came out fired up anyways, but rest in peace, Dickbutkes. You were great for the game and everything about it. And all I can say is, the NFL will never be the same without your presence around. With that said, let's move on to the next topic. Tampa Bay Rays started out 13-0, and that's a memory after they were swept 2-0 by the Texas Rangers. All right, Ralph Williams. What I want to find out for you is this. Did you ever believe in the Tampa Bay Rays at the beginning of the year, let alone the fact that at the end of the year, they made a very quick exit? You start winning 13 in a row, and then you go out on a 2-game losing streak in the postseason.
Yeah, the Rays laid an egg. I mean, I thought they were going to go to the World Series. They were one of my picks, in the American League. And the reason I like the Rays is because they are doing what the Pirates are not doing. And that is they're winning with a small market budget.
Right.
And, they always have good players. And, and it also takes some good coaching as well. I like the Rays. I respect them. It's sad to see that they went out like this. It's like the Dodgers every year, guys. Dodgers always, they have the highest payroll, and then they soil the bed too. And in the playoffs instead of going to World Series. So I mean, sort of like the similar thing, but Philly's hot, and Tampa Bay it just went bye-byes, and there's some surprising teams in here.
Let's face the reality. Kevin Cash is a great manager. He really is.
Yes.
And the Tampa Bay Rays, the way they're run as an organization, to me, are one of the model franchises in Major League Baseball. Love Kevin Cash. But I never believed in them at the beginning with that 13-game winning streak. And the reason why I was over in Tampa covering the Red Wings and the Lightning, because I felt their schedule was a little bit soft at the beginning. Don't get me wrong, that 13-0 record will always be in the record books that they're tied, so nobody can ever take it away from them. But even though you have a great record to start, in the end, it's what you do in the postseason. And unfortunately, the Tampa Bay Rays are going to be watching it on TV instead of continuing ball. Okay, George. And yeah, the small market thing is unbelievable how they've worked wonders there.
Yeah. And also, don't forget our friend Rickcurti, Scott, on 108 Stitches. He said the same thing you did. He says, wait till they start playing opponents that are worthy of that 13-game winning streak. And sure enough, sure as heck, you guys both called that one as the streak ended, and they taking nothing away from Tampa. They still had a great season, but we realized that there are certain teams that do know how to trip them up. Now, the bad thing is the statistic that stands out to me, they've hit 161 in the last 4 playoff losses. 2 last year, 2 this year. Sticks are 161. You're not going to win anything. I don't care if you got Cy Young on the mound. Seriously. Right. I mean, with the 161 average, so I have no idea. Kevin Cash is going to have to go back to the drawing board on some of this because I'm not quite sure where that's coming from. I just think that it was, what is it? The team that gets hot. And I'm not saying the Rangers were super hot. They weren't super hot. They struggled at the end a little bit too. But They knew how to finish the game and win the series. But that being said, I think Tampa still has a bright future. You're right. They're a small market that knows how to win. They know how to draft. They know how to scout. And all the more power to them. And they're not going anywhere, folks. They'll be back next year, and they'll be hungrier too.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so with that said, let's just talk about the matchups that are left out here. Ralph, I'll lead off with you. We're going to let you break down, just give me predictions for each of these series. Okay, we'll talk about the Texas Rangers, obviously managed by Bruce Bochy, knows how to win a World Series, against Baltimore. Prediction and why?
I think Texas, they have more experience. Baltimore hasn't been in the playoffs in a while. We'll see what they do. Just like Tampa Bay, George said, the Baltimore Orioles are a team that is up and coming. They're a small market team that hasn't won in a long time, but they're here in the playoffs. But Texas has, but Bruce Bochy, as Scott said, and they also have probably better talent to win, and I think they're going to win. That's Texas.
Yeah, we'll let you break down every one of them first, and then George and I will go after that. Minnesota against Houston, and bear in mind, Baltimore right now lost their closer, I believe. So
yeah,
for a while. So I just want to mention that. I'm not going to give specifics, but they lost their closer. That doesn't help at the wrong time of the year. Minnesota against Houston, Ralph.
I like Houston. I think that they're a well-managed team too, small market, but they've been to the World Series. It's been a while for Minnesota, so we'll see what happens there. But I like Houston.
Okay, and we got Philadelphia, Atlanta.
Philly's up and coming, guys. I didn't expect this year, but I like Atlanta. I think Atlanta has a very good team. They're managed well, and they have a good record, and I think they're going to win. Philly could sneak up on them, but it's going to be a challenge. But I think Atlanta.
Okay, last you got Arizona against the LA Dodgers.
Like I said before, when it comes to the playoffs, the LA Dodgers always lay an egg or soil the bed. I'm taking Arizona.
Okay, very good. All right, George. You know the matchups. You got Texas and Baltimore.
Yeah, I think you're spot on about that one, Ralph, because of the inexperience of the Baltimore Orioles in the postseason.
Right.
That's going to be a big challenge. And I have to go with you on this one. I do have to say that Texas, they disposed of Tampa, and now I think they're going to dispose of the Orioles. Even though the Orioles had a great season and a great record, it's going to be a hell of a series. But I'm saying it'll be Texas 3-2.
Okay, George, Minnesota against Houston.
I don't see any way that Minnesota is going to be able to pull this off. Guys, you got Justin Verlander back there in the rotation down in Houston. You got Dustybaker. I mean, you got veteran leadership, Altuve. I would be shocked if Minnesota got more than one win in this series. So I'm going to have to go with Houston winning 3-1. No. Yeah, 3-1. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right.
That's okay. You're good. All right, Philadelphia, Atlanta.
Oh, this is a tough one. Boy, the Philly fans, you see how rabid they are? Oh, my God, it was so exciting. And, I've got a sentimental heart here for 3 of my boys there. Dave Dombrowski in the front office, Nick Castellanos in the outfield, and Gregory Soto on the mound in relief. And that being said, you can't take anything away from Atlanta. What a wonderful year they've had. Just fantastic. So as much as Philly is on a roll, I'm still going to go with Atlanta. They're on a bigger roll. That'll be a 3-1 series.
Okay. All right. Last but not least, you got Arizona and the Dodgers.
Yeah, I'm not going to bite that trap there, Ralph. I'm still going with the Dodgers. I'm not going to fall into that. Now, they could get tripped up in the NLCS. I'm not saying, but we'll save that for another day. But they got to get by a good team, obviously, first in Arizona. But I think the Dodgers, they won 100 games. They got a lot of firepower on that team, Scott. I'm going to go them again with 3-1.
All right, I'm not going to give any particular how many games are going to win.
Oh, that's okay.
But that's okay that you did. I'm sure a lot of people can match what you say versus what the outcome is. Texas Rangers, Baltimore. I would have gone with Baltimore. Losing your closer is not going to do you any good, and having Bruce Bochy there to me is the deciding factor. But lose your closer in the postseason, you're in trouble. So I'll go with Texas. Minnesota, Houston, gotta go with Dustybaker, Justin Verlander.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, plus they're veteran. They're veteran. Minnesota's been a good story this year, but watch out for the Tigers next year as they continue to develop this roster. Detroit can give Minnesota a run for their money, but for all intents and purposes, I'm going with Houston. Philadelphia, Atlanta, you know what? One thing I'm intrigued, I saw it for the first time last night against my Miami Marlins, is Bryce Harper was playing first base. You know what? I like Bryce Harper playing first base, and I'll tell you why. Let's face it, he won't run into many more walls, and the Philadelphia Phillies are trying to save Bryce Harper from himself. I can tell you right now, Bryce Harper would be able to fit in any era of ball. I love Bryce Harper. I love his passion, his energy, everything about the guy. I really, really, really do. So with that said, you know what I'm going to do? I am going to go over a little bit. I'm going to look for the upset with the Philadelphia Phillies over this one. I am. Let's say that this is all entertainment, education, and inform, and that's what we're all here to do.
Sure.
Right.
To me, at first base was a great move by the Phillies. And you know what? He likes the position from, I've heard there's more action at first base than in the outfield. And if anybody can relate to that scenario, then he does. It's me, because when I played other positions other than catcher, when I settled into a position, you always like to be on the diamond when you're more active instead of losing mental lapses. And so I can totally appreciate them putting Bryce Harper at first because, again, I've dealt with it. So I'm going to go with the Phillies on this. So we got to be a little different.
Yeah.
And Arizona and the Dodgers, oh, no, I'll stay with the Dodgers. And you want to talk about another former Tiger? What about jdmartinez?
Oh, geez. Don't bring it up. There's so many ex-Tigers that are doing so well.
Yeah, but let's face the reality. At the time,
ex-Pirates doing well too, George.
Well, yeah, let's not get into that conversation, Ralph.
No.
I really don't. I think we could save that for another edition of Fire Up. But the main thing is this, okay? JD Martinez has done well. A lot of these guys, you face it, the last 7 years have been tough on the Tigers because they're in a rebuilding mode. We saw that in Miguel Cabrera's retiring. So I'm not going to put a whole lot of stock in that. It's good that they're having success. So Max Scherzer was, but unfortunately not available for the postseason because of an arm injury. So, anytime players leave from a team which is not playing very well, there's a reason why they're going to have success. So we'll go from there. All right, Ralph, you know what? We're going to give you your final comments about what you want to talk about the rest of the night. The floor is yours.
Well, I want to talk about the upcoming hockey season coming up. We have the Penguins coming up. I'm doing a special on my radio show, Beaver County Radio, Penguin special. We're going to see Kyle Dubas brought in a bunch of people, got rid of a bunch of dead wood that was brought in here by Brian Burke and by Ron Hextall. And now he cleaned it all out, managed to stay inside the salary cap and brought in Carlson and a bunch of guys. We're going to find out if Mike Sullivan can coach this team. I'm concerned about the goaltending because we got Jari back. If he can stay healthy, he'll be fine. And we have a backup. I, for some strange reason, can't pronounce his name for the life of me, but he's been around. He's a good backup, better than Casey DeSmith. Let's see what the Penguins do. Just like the Steelers, it's exciting leading up, but we'll see when the games start.
There you go. Hockey season, obviously preseason
Yes.
going on now. It'll start for keeps. Yeah, Ron Hextall, I've always admired him as a executive, but we'll just see how everything plays out with Pittsburgh. I know the Red Wings faced the Penguins in the last couple of days, and obviously preseason, and that Detroit, the Penguins and Red Wings always share a nice rivalry. With that said,
from the Stanley Cup time,
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
I was there, Ralph. Unfortunately, I was there when you guys hoisted that cup at Joe Louis Arena. That was sad time for me.
Hey, which NHL hockey team won their which Stanley Cup hockey team won their final game to win the Stanley Cup away? Who holds that record? The Pittsburgh Penguins.
I'll say Montreal.
Nope, Pittsburgh Penguins. They won every Stanley Cup away. Last game, they always won the last game.
So what, Ralph? Why would I expect anything other than a Pittsburgh Penguins reference with a question like that? Because if you were looking for a trick question here,
and I fell for
it. George,
I know you did, George.
And I got a Pittsburgh guy, so I always like that when you come on. I like to give the Pittsburgh market
Thank
a little
you.
bit of love too, so we don't mind doing that. But still, it doesn't matter.
I appreciate being here with you guys talking Florida sports and.
We try to keep the topics pretty straightforward and simple with you, Ralph. You bring a veteran presence to the whole thing about old school, which provides a unique and different dimension to what we're doing, and that's why we like having it following pundits on Thursday night. It's worked out.
Yeah, I enjoy you on the external bum. I do.
What's that?
I enjoy you on the external bum as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I have a lot of fun doing the show with you and Mark. I really do. Everything that we're doing together, it's great. Mancini Media has certainly been a good partner of South Florida Tribune for sure. And I look forward to, as time goes on, to promote my book in the not so distant future. So with that said, I want to let everybody know one more time that Fire Up is being broadcast around the world. The audio version of Fire Up can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcast. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're striving for 1,000 subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? No problem. Participate in the chat room. And a couple thanks to Samuel K. and Fernando Vargas for popping in today. Also, send your topic ideas to South Florida Tribune at gmail.com, and we'll match up those topics, which suits the best show that we have, and we have quite a few of those on there. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, call me at 954-304-4941. We broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Website, www.southfloridatribune.com. Twitter/X at Tribune South. Candy Emily behind the scenes. Let me repeat it again in case you're just joining us. My new book, which is a media book, is Lessons from the Microphone, tuning into the enduring wisdom of visionary leaders. So, with that said, I'm looking forward to joining Ralph Williams tomorrow on the External Bum podcast, which will be on Blog Radio tomorrow with myself, Ralph, and Mark Mancini. So looking forward to that. Ralph, why don't you let everybody know they get a hold of you really quickly?
Yeah, Ralph Williams 737 at gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, X platform, and also on LinkedIn. I have my own YouTube channel as well. Check out all my shows on there. And I have a radio show I do on Tuesdays in Beaver County Radio, 99.3 FM and 12:30 AM every Tuesday, 5 to 6 p.m. Sports Corner with Ralph Williams, Smoking Jim Frazier. This Tuesday, we're doing a Pittsburgh Penguins special. I have some beat writers coming on to talk about the Pittsburgh Penguins, and it's a special 1-hour edition.
Very good. All right, George, you know the drill.
Yeah. I'm the author of Detroit Sports Broadcasters on the Air, a book that's available for purchase. There's a link to get the purchase item at the end of my column. I write for the South Florida Tribune under the Motor City Tribune banner. And I also write for a local paper in town called the Detroit Monitor. There is a couple ways to get a hold of me, gicorn@yahoo.com or LinkedIn under my name, or Twitter, X, whatever it's called, SandGSports99. And you can find me on the Sports Exchange and 108 Stitches and Inside the Pigskin and all these pundits. It's great being on all these great shows with people like yourselves, Scott and Ralph.
Thank you.
All right, so that concludes this edition of Fire Up. So on behalf of Ralph Williams and George Eichhorn, my name is Scott Morgan, Ralph the Motor City Man. Well, thank you for joining us on this edition on Fire Up, and we will see you on our next edition. Good evening, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend.